this is Miss Forte, and it's Technique Tuesday. So today I want to talk to you about your resonating cavities. We've already gone through and talked about our breathing and how our breath goes through our vocal cords and makes the sound. But since we don't just have a little hole right here to let sound out, we have to do something with the sound as it travels up through our throat and our mouth, and even what happens to it with our nose and our facial bones and all that stuff before it comes out our mouth. So today we're going to talk about this throat and mouth area and what we can do with that to create a better tone quality, to create different colors with our sound, to be able to really utilize these resonating capacities. So what I like to call EQ, right? So sometimes you get a sound and it's just kind of plain. So you want to mess with it a little bit, maybe add a little more bass, add a little more treble. I like to think of our resonating cavities as being those things. So if I want a little more bass, I'm going to add a little bit more sound back here. If I want a little more treble, I'm going to shoot something a little bit more up here. And I'm going to be able to mix and match and create the color and the tone that I want for that specific note, for that specific song, that specific style. But before we get into all of that, because really that's where the fun is, before we get into all that, I need to be able to actually control those resonating cavities and understand them and know how they work and all of that stuff. So today we're just going to talk about our mouth and throat area. So just to start, I want to think about this term that if you've ever taken any voice lessons or you've been in some sort of choral, especially classical choral thing, you've probably heard that term, I want an open throat. So how do we get that? What does that actually mean? What does it sound like? What are we doing with it? So the best way that I have found to get it is thinking about the beginning of a yawn. So what technically I want to have happen is for my soft palate to raise, which if you don't know what your soft palate is, you can just put your tongue behind your teeth and feel that hard roof of your mouth like this, and then slide it on back. And right about here, we're going to find that it gets soft. That's your soft palate. It's the back of the roof of your mouth, basically. And when you yawn, if you just try and make yourself yawn, you're going to feel that soft palate kind of lift. I like to think about, it's almost like I'm creating a dome top in the back of my mouth. I think about just letting that soft palate kind of raise and lift. And then really, if you want to just start making noise when you yawn, because you want it to feel as natural as possible. You want it to be as natural as possible. So if you're not like me, who just makes noises all the time, well, start with that anyway. So you want to just think about, what can I do? How can I make this big space in the back of my mouth? And then what happens when I'm making sound inside of it? You can already tell that changes the sound, right? If I just go, I kind of get that plain old flat. If I just simply raise my soft palate, I actually raised my pitch. Sorry, hold on. But it still creates a different sound. So I want to think about, these are the things that I can do, right? So how do I do that without stressing it? Because I really don't want to force it to happen and really be trying, and don't overdo it. So one of my voice teachers actually told me that when you breathe in, it should just be that your soft palate is so relaxed that the pressure of the air coming into it is what causes it to raise. So you want it to just be that relaxed and open. Now, when you think about a yawn, you naturally also should feel, a lot of times your larynx will go down. You should feel this nice open throat going in and all of that. For the openness, for some different things, sometimes when I really felt like I was getting it, was when I thought about what it feels like when you can go outside and it's cold and you can see your breath. And I live in Phoenix now, but I was born in North Dakota. So that was, North Dakota, don't you know? Yeah, sure, you betcha. Anyway, don't let my accent come out because it will be horrible. So I want you to think about Whatever works for you. That was something that connected with me, but it clearly doesn't connect with my students currently because a lot of them have never felt that, which kind of creeps me out a little bit. I'm like, really? Go up to Flagstaff or something. Like, find some place where you can be cold. It's just too hot here. So anyway, kind of find what works for you. For some people, it may be smelling a rose. So they want to go close your eyes and just imagine that you've got a rose in front of you and you're just going to take a deep inhale. And for a lot of people, that really just opens them up. You want that just open feeling. So my real suggestion, people ask all the time, should you inhale with your mouth open, with your mouth closed? What do you do? Whatever works, that's what you do. Do what works for you. Whatever clicks with you, try it a couple different ways. You just want to be relaxed and you want it to be kind of where you're creating as big of a space as possible and still be able to actually say words, which we're going to deal with how we say our words and our tongue and jaw and all that stuff later. So for now, make it as big as possible, which is great. Sometimes I even like for it to be more obnoxious than I would normally sing. Again, just to help me kind of get that feeling of what it feels like to really open. So I might try, how can I do this as big as possible? Still making this nice and easy, but how can I keep this big space in my mouth? One of the other ones that I really like is an owl sound. So just doing something like the difference between saying ooh, ooh, where I can really feel that I'm just making that sound in my throat, and then going ooh, ooh, and letting it really be about the air passing through my vocal cords and feeling that resonating happening up in here. Ooh, ooh, where I can kind of feel the sound a little bit more between my cheeks. And I also think as I'm doing that, it has to be a little bit bigger, right? If I just go ooh, 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 it's all just kind of stuck. I want to really think about that big space. Ooh, ooh. The other thing with this is really figuring out how to do that in all the places of your range. So take that owl sound and go ooh, ooh, all the way up and down, still keeping that big space. Or for you, it could be the beginning of a yawn. Make that yawn. Oh, and just sigh. The biggest thing again is that you want to feel relaxed and open, as big as you possibly can, because the bigger the space, the bigger the sound. So this is what I use to make a big full sound, add a little bass, to add a little bit of almost even chest, but not necessarily, but to create that big sound. I need a lot of space in my mouth. So here's what we're wanting to work on this week. Just being able to create a little bit more space in our mouth, keeping that throat nice and relaxed, and letting the sound really start to resonate. We want to send those sound waves through that are made in our vocal cords up into our mouth cavity and let them bounce around. Again, the bigger the space, the bigger the sound. The more they can bounce around, the better they're going to be. The different color they're going to have, the bigger, especially if you want to think about like a classical sound or that super pretty sound. So you want to think about the difference between singing something that's a little more flat, like Amazing Grace, how sweet the sound. That I've got nothing back here. And it's not, I'm hitting notes, they're fine. But it really has a different color than if I go, Amazing Grace, how sweet the sound. That's a different sound. And all I did was create a little bit more space. Actually, I created a lot more space, to be honest with you. Created a lot more space in here and really got my sound up and out of my throat. So I hope that helps, and keep practicing this week.